All right, today we're diving into the story of a true legend, a founder known as the Ember Mother. Her full name, Vahlaë Tarraqhavvezz Sorriqha, and her entire legacy is built on one absolutely massive idea: taking the element of fire, which was his weapon of war, and turning it into a source of real wisdom.
And you can really see her whole philosophy in this one quote: "I became the hearth that burns without harm." This single idea that you can have all this power, but it doesn't have to be destructive, that's the core of her teaching. It can be controlled, it can be compassionate, like a hearth at the very center of a home. It's about warmth, not destruction.
So that really brings us to the big question here, right? In a world that was basically defined by fighting over fire, how did one woman manage to completely shift an entire culture's point of view? How do you teach a bunch of warriors to burn with wisdom instead of just pure rage? Well, that's the story we're about to get into.
To really get who she was, we've got to go right back to the start. We're talking a mythic origin story and a divine calling that didn't just shape her destiny, but the future of her entire world.
Look, Vahlaë was born into anything but a peaceful world. It was called the era of molten tides, just pure chaos. Her birth itself was practically a prophecy. She was born under an aurora of red lightning. And then, get this, at just 16, she has the Khazoran revelation, a vision that hands her a divine mission.
And even her name tells you everything you need to know. Ne Sorriqha literally means of the storm that listens. Think about that. It's such a perfect paradox. A storm is this massive, wild power, but a storm that listens? That's her, right there. Ferocity and empathy, all wrapped up in one.
And this is the exact message that came through in her vision, straight from the goddess Vahlaë. The world burns to see, teach it to burn to be felt. That one command basically became her life's work, to shift the entire purpose of fire from just demanding attention to actually creating connection.
So, okay, she's got this incredible mission from a goddess. What does she do next? Well, she founds a whole new order, a new house, and it's built on these totally radical ideas of compassion and discipline.
She calls it Tarraqhavvezz. Now, the name itself comes from this old phrase, the hand that carries heat. And what a brilliant metaphor, right? It's not the hand that strikes with heat or gets burned by it. It's the hand that can hold it, control it, and use it with real intention, without any fear.
And she didn't just talk about this stuff, she made it real. She literally carved 5 vows into the hearth hall of her house. These became the absolute guiding principles for everyone who followed her. Things like to listen before striking, and my favorite, to guard softness within strength. It was a whole new playbook for how to be powerful. But her teachings went even deeper than that. This is where it gets really interesting. She developed a whole philosophy that uses the very nature of fire as a kind of map for understanding consciousness itself. This is really the heart of her wisdom. So here it is, her big idea, the 4 tempers of flame. She saw consciousness as a fire with 4 stages. You've got the spark of awareness, the blaze of passion, and the smoke of letting go. But the one she really identified with, the stage that gave her the name, the Ember Mother, was the ember. That's where all that raw heat turns into steady warmth, where passion becomes real, reflective wisdom. And this idea was so powerful, it literally worked its way into the everyday language. The phrase Vahlaë's ember actually became an idiom, a saying people used for inner steadiness and compassionate discipline. It just goes to show you how deeply her ideas took root in the culture. Which brings us to the end of her life here on Earth, and, the beginning of her immortal legacy. A legacy that's all about one last powerful ritual and a prophecy that she would one day return.
So when it was her time to go, she didn't just fade away. No way. She performed this incredible ritual, the ritual of transference, and breathed her very essence, her life's fire, into a crystal urn called the Aqara Flameheart. So her spirit wasn't gone, it was just preserved.
And the power of this final act was just legendary. For 9 days and 9 nights straight, the Flameheart glowed so brightly it lit up the entire coastline. It was this massive sign to the world that her light hadn't gone out, it had just changed form. And this all ties back to that prophecy we mentioned, that she would walk again when the flame learned to reflect instead of just roar. It's why so many people believe the prophecy came true in Jaru, the 21st matriarch.
You can see the evolution right here. Vahlaë was the flame that roars, but her heir became the flame that reflects. It's like her spirit came back, but it had leveled up. It had grown even wiser.
So if you boil her entire worldview down to one single idea, this is it. Costarin la Chiara. In English, courage is the form of love that moves. That completely reframes what strength is, right? It's not about aggression or being the loudest. It's about active, moving love.
And those were her final words, a promise and a challenge to everyone who came after her. It's a prophecy that just ties everything together, her life, her philosophy, and her legacy. See, the goal was never to put the fire out, but to teach it a whole new way to burn.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If Vahlaë is right, if courage is really just love in motion, what does her ancient story ask of us, right here, right now? In our own lives, what kind of flame are we choosing to be?